Walt Disney Studios is the second theme park at the Disneyland Paris Resort. This is widely considered to be the world's worst Disney park. And while I do agree with that sentiment, it's more because of how high Disney has set the bar at their other parks. For all this park's flaws, it does have some enjoyable attractions. You have a few dark rides themed to major IPs, 3 different roller coasters, some flat rides, and a few shows. This video ranks the 10 best attractions you can find at this French theme park. Before starting the list, I need to note that I cannot rank their nighttime show, Avengers Power the Night. This 10-minute show features dazzling visuals as you have projection mapping on Tower of Terror, some fireworks, and most notably, a series of drones creating logos and imagery from the films. And you also the bombastic Avengers score. We saw bits of the show while park hopping, but we didn't see the show in its entirety as we chose to prioritize seeing Disney Delight and Disney Dreams at the main park instead, simply because of how awesome those shows were. I also want to note this list will include 2 honorable mentions for 2 rides that were extensively modified in recent years to accommodate new IPs. Starting off the list at number 10 is Slinky Dog Zigzag Spin. This is an adorable Intamin Himalaya. The vehicle looks similar to Slinky Dog Dash, just on a flat ride. While this ride's a rather slow top speed, it somehow manages to offer decent sustained laterals. My wife was pinned against me for the duration of the ride. That just wasn't too long though, as the ride is an extremely short cycle for capacity purposes. Number 9. Cars Quattro's Rally. This is a teacup style attraction from Zamperla. It is similar to the old school Crazy Daisy rides, but this one has an extra turntable built in. While you cannot spin the cups manually, you can get some moderately forceful rotations like a tilt-a-whirl at points. This ride ultimately inspired Mater's Junkyard Jamboree and Alien Swirling Saucers at the US Disney parks. The latter were upgraded with swinging vehicles, which adds a new dynamic, but the spinning is better on the original Cars ride. Up next would have been the Studio Tram Tour Behind the Magic. A Studio Tram Tour should be a great attraction when given a Disney budget. Too bad it was not given a Disney budget. Most of the ride was spent slowly rolling past nothing. Instead of looking at sets, you watched a TV screen where actors and actresses talked about filmmaking. Not the most engaging experience. There were 2 grand set pieces though that redeemed the attraction, with the best of the bunch being Catastrophe Canyon. This was a special effects bonanza as an oil tanker lights on fire, and a flash flood rushed towards you to douse out the flames. Number 8. Cars Road Trip. This is a much abridged version of the Studio Tram Tour. The experience was basically cut in half, but I honestly think that's an improvement. A majority of the experience is now spent in Catastrophe Canyon, which is still the star. Then you have a few Cars-themed set pieces that were added in between. Number 7. RC Racer. This is an intimate half-pipe where you rock back and forth. Honestly, it feels more like a pendulum flat ride than a traditional coaster. While the vehicles do not spin like the standard half-pipe model, you are boosted by semi-punchy launches, and you get solid and sustained floater airtime at the highest points, but you only get 2 or 3 max swings. Like the flat rides, RC Racer is an incredibly short cycle to keep up with demand. Number 6. Mickey and the Magician. This is the park's most popular stage show, and it was quite good. There are some basic magic effects, but the main purpose of the show is to sing and dance to popular Disney songs. It is worth knowing the show is bilingual. Mickey Mouse speaks entirely in French, but the human cast members all speak English, so I was able to follow along without any issues. Number 5. Spider-Man Web Adventure. This is an interactive shooting dark ride themed to the famous superhero. Rather than giving riders guns, you use hand gestures to fire webs at 3D screens. This mechanic works seamlessly, but I do have 2 issues with this attraction that keep it out of the top 3. 1. There are simply too many cooks in the kitchen. With everyone firing all at once, the screen is absolute chaos and it's tough to determine who's hitting what. Second, I wish the ride took advantage of Spider-Man's famous villains. Instead, you fight generic spider bots. But I can sort of see why this was done so you have a large quantity of things to fire at. Number 4. Crush's Coaster. This is a mostly indoor spinning coaster. There is a very brief outdoor bit, but a majority of the experience takes place indoors in a giant show building. The main layout is the commonly cloned Mauer SC2000 spinning coaster, identical to Laugh Track at Hershey Park or Spider at Lagoon. You have a big swooping drop at the start, then the layout is minimally braked, so you get a fairly consistent spin with the directional changes. And all of this takes place in a darkened environment with a pulse-pounding audio score and some projection effects. These accentuate the speed and disorientation. Then before the coaster bit, you have a fun dark ride sequence that varies depending if you're facing forwards or backwards. Those going forwards have blue or high waters. Those going backwards are in the darker deep sea. Just beware this coaster is low capacity. It routinely is the worst line at the entire resort day after day. Up next would have been Rock and Roller Coaster. This was an indoor Vekoma launch coaster themed to Aerosmith, but the premise was different than the Florida version. Rather than racing through the streets to a concert, you are instead riding the music as you whiz past these colorful spotlights. It made the experience much more disorienting. This one seemed to have less braking and more speed than the Florida version, so the later elements were more eventful. But the highlight was still the initial launch, which had a solid kick, and the first two inversions that piled on the positive Gs. Number 3. Ratatouille the Adventure. This is a trackless dark ride where you're meant to feel like a rat and face all of their dangers. The giant screens really convey that as you venture through the kitchen. The visuals are crisp, and there's plenty to take in. Then the transitions in between include some physical sets as a bonus. I do wish the experience was more animatronic based, but the story, visuals, and motion synchronization ultimately yields a satisfying attraction. Number 2. Avengers Assemble Flight Force. This is a re-theme of Rock and Roller Coaster, and I think it was an upgrade. The physical coaster is identical, but the visuals are different. I heard a lot of poor reviews, but I actually enjoyed the sense of speed. You have a dark room with a starfield effect like Space Mountain. Then you have these video screens with the heroes battling spaceships, and these were strategically placed during the less exciting elements to improve the pacing. And the onboard audio works for me with the Avengers score supplemented by narration. The story is fairly straightforward, but it does carry through the attraction, and you have a sweet Iron Man animatronic during the pre-show. And coming in, number 1 is Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. This is the best attraction at the entire Disneyland Paris resort. The haunted themed drop tower was recently refreshed to become even creepier. The little girl from the pre-show now haunts the ride experience. The way she moves and talks is absolutely chilling, and the ride experience was improved as well. You get to the drop sequence faster, and you have more drops than before. The seatbelts allow for wonderful floater airtime in the quick ascents, and then the descents as well. Then the sudden drops are paired with a great stomach drop sensation. This truly is one of the world's best drop towers because of the theming, force, and long duration. So those are the top 10 rides and attractions at Walt Disney Studios at the Disneyland Paris Resort. What are your thoughts about what this park has to offer? What are your favorites here? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.